All right, Erica Lorraine Spencer here. This is the P.O.C, which is a podcast, which is none other than a means of publicly documenting and exposing, publishing that which I have documented with regard to the state of California's criminal system. It is a criminal system of federal group stalking and monitoring, as it is appropriately referred to by myself, as I am seeking to expose and publish and prosecute with regard to also establishing federal legislation for the state of California, which is speaking to what is a public entity, which is the government engaged in monitoring myself, but this is how a government is monitoring American citizens. Where a public entity is monitoring, understand that system is speaking to what that government is doing in concert with the people of that state. This is stalking by a government. This is monitoring via communication devices operated by a government that is acting in concert with the very constituents of that state. That system is referred to as I have established federal group stalking and monitoring. It's in violation of state law. The entity that is monitoring you has no interest whatsoever, as the documentation has shown. My own experience, having been kidnapped, having been denied the constitutional right to prosecute in court. This is a matter of federal law, not only on the basis of that it is federal stalking in violation of 18 U.S.C. section 2261A, both subsections 1 and 2, but it is also where the public entity that is monitoring you has every intention and demonstrates the ongoing criminal determination, which is entirely demented, in addition, to continue to engage in that criminal monitoring, which is a direct threat to the life of that American citizen, that targeted individual that's being monitored by the government, acting in concert with the people of that state. And that is also that which is speaking to an ongoing emergency, exceeding that which is to be in any reasonable manner prosecuted in any state court where that entity is monitoring you. Okay, that entity has no interest whatsoever in respecting that constitutional right. This is also demonstrated by the documentation, but this is also that which is naturally following, and it is a matter of federal law. This is documentation that I specifically captured on August 14th, 2019, and what I also want to preface this with is what you are listening to is that which I captured on my phone with literally I'm using the Samsung Notes. And I'm capturing the ongoing audible activity that the state is amplifying inside of what is my vehicle as it's parked at 714 North Vine Avenue in the city of Ontario, California, on this date. Again, I am capturing that which I remain subject to, and so this is what is prompting my recording video and pictures and audio everywhere that I go, as the same exact conduct is occurring by what are different people and where the state is acting directly everywhere that I go, by police, by planes that are following everywhere that I go, including helicopters and fire and ambulance. And so I am documenting this on August 14th. Again, this is long-standing documentation of what I remain subject to even while inside of my car. And so this is captured on, again, August 14th. And I want to be clear, on this same date, I created a playlist which is published on YouTube on this same exact date, which is video documentation of what is the state's pattern of conduct as you can visually see it. This is that which I captured on my Samsung Notes, creating audio documentation, which I am hereby publishing on the podcast for purposes of prosecuting that public entity that is to date engaged in that same exact pattern of conduct, which is federal group stalking and monitoring, all the elements being present. This is documentation of that criminal conduct underway, establishing what is that pattern that it is engaged in concert with the people of the state of California, who are present all around me as I'm in my car, as I am walking to any venue, as I stand outside at any venue, as I am inside of any venue. And so on August 14th specifically, I am in my car at 714 North Vine Avenue. I am also capturing the same stalking conduct via aircraft and the people, that is the state acting vicariously as they are patrolling via vehicles while the state is flying over me at where I am at the third-party venue of what is St. George Church. And I do reference that in the podcast itself. I just want to speak to the date. I want to speak to that which is complementing this documentation published on August 14, 2019. In the videos, the playlist that is created on the same exact date, understand that this is going with what I am speaking to, what I am narrating in real time, what I am capturing, which is the state stalking, which is the ongoing presence via aircraft, the state creating audible activity, which is monitoring via aircraft, and in doing so everywhere that I go. This is also while the people of the state of California are maintaining presence, engaged in an ongoing concerted criminal act of maintaining presence in the path. That's what group stalking is, while ongoing activity is maintained and while the state is stalking with its light source and that which is also its directed light, which at this time I was not focused on yet. But as you can see in my video playlist that I have published on YouTube, and I will also share it on my website, thepatternofconduct.com, .wordpress.com, you will see what is the state's light source remaining everywhere that I'm at. As you can see, what is direct light, which remains directly over me at all times during the day. And this is also to be compared with, again, August 14, 2020. Where am I at on this date? This is a year later, the same time frame. This is the summer of 2020. And you see what is the state's stalking conduct while I am at third-party facilitating venue, Walmart, Supercenter, where I am being monitored, where I am subject to what is group stalking at this venue at 1333 North Mountain Avenue, the state stalking by a helicopter. This is a spotlight video on my YouTube channel, by the way. The state engaging in this while the state's fake sun is directly over me as I am standing at the lawn and garden area inside of the Walmart. Group stalking, as you see the third party on the opposite side of the same wall, he's engaging in relevant positioning. The employee that is walking around, the third party group stalkers are in relevant position in the parking lot. They're driving around in their cars. They are walking around outside. The employee walking around, understand you're looking at the elements of monitoring, and I am bringing up August 14, 2020, because you are looking at what is that which is comparable to where the state's light source, that is a fake sun, that is not actually the sun, that is remaining directly over me everywhere that I am going. And this is valuable with regard to the time of the year. It's the exact same day, August 14th, a year later from August 19th. And you see the state's fake sun directly over me at what is the Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library, as I am capturing the state stalking via aircraft there, as I am at the Walmart in Ontario a year later, and the state's light source remaining for the duration of the day from morning. You're talking after 10 o'clock in the morning, and moving from what is Holt Boulevard, remaining in the window as I am on the moving venue of the Omnitrans bus as I go what is west on Holt Boulevard, and then as I go north on Mountain Avenue from the intersection of Holt and Mountain, the state's light source remaining directly in my window. That is stalking with the state's light source on that moving venue of Omnitrans where I am being monitored, and that hallmark being present, the state's light source, the state's directed light on that venue, and then the state's fake sun remaining directly over the Walmart building proper, even going from what is the entrance at the front back to the lawn and garden and back and forth, vacillating, remaining directly over that venue for the duration of the day from 11 a.m. I capture that well into the evening where the state engages in that which I have shown, which is the state engaging in feigning as though this light source, which is not the sun, is setting and it's remaining over that same location for the duration of the day, merely changing the color, merely engaging in an abysmal fail at mimicking what the actual sun does, which is not remaining over the Walmart at 1333 North Mountain Avenue. But this is the state's pattern of conduct. And so I am tying together what is the totality of my documentation over a span of years and showing how it is valuable in more than one aspect with regard to what the state has been engaged in for years. And this is while I am aware of and understand what I will continue to publish with regard to the state's pattern of conduct everywhere that I have been subject to this criminal system. What I have captured now as of late, you're talking since my awareness from 2018 up until the present, which today, again, I want to be clear, today is April 4th, Sunday, 2021. It is currently 10 p.m. The more and more that I documented when I became aware of this in 2018, the more and more the quote-unquote crazy was made manifest. Okay, the state has been monitoring me for years. upon awareness of it, and the state that is monitoring me, it knows that I'm aware of it because they are monitoring and engaged in ongoing stalking and surveillance, and knows very well what I am writing down, knows very well what I am taking screenshots of, taking pictures of, capturing video of, storing, and what I am also researching on my computers. All right. And so the more and more that I became aware, the more and more that I documented, the more the crazy. Okay. And this is crazy with regard to not in any way removing criminal responsibility. It is crazy with regard to what is that demonic system that is in operation practiced by the state of California in concert with the people of the state. Understand, as I have stated, what is the relevant context. The state is not only engaged in unprecedented criminal conduct, this is satanic what the state is engaged in. You are looking at what is demonic conduct that you are witnessing in the natural. And it is that which is in no way impervious to being prosecuted in a court of law. That is relevant to punishment, to exposure of what is a satanic influence over the government, over the people that are acting with regard to monitoring American citizens, and engaged in what is criminal conduct. And so the more and more that I documented it, the more that crazy, that demented group conduct made itself manifest. But the state has been engaged in this for years, okay? And that also reasonably follows when you are documenting a government that is monitoring you. And so as I will continue to publish all of the venues, because that's what they are, where the government, a public entity, is monitoring you, you are engaged in nothing but the criminal elements at all times and at all places and everywhere that you go, whether it be your own personal home, whether it be a third party's home, whether it be a third party venue of a public establishment, or such as a hotel where I currently remain at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, Economy Inn. It is nothing but a venue where the elements are maintained at all times. And the state that knew that I was unaware of the fact has been engaged in this for years while I was at work, while I was in transit to work or home, to any third-party venue, meaning anyone that I associated with while I'm on the freeways, while I'm on the train going from my home to Los Angeles to practice law as I was at that time, to go to school at that time when I'm studying law, when I am getting my undergrad in political science at Cal State San Bernardino, while I am in the state of Florida, not practicing law yet, but studying to get my law degree, my first year at Ave Maria School of Law in Naples, Florida. Understand the state has been monitoring, and it is concealed at this time, unbeknownst to me. The moment that I become aware, you are looking at what has not changed. The pattern of conduct always exists. The more and more you are aware, the more you document, the more you expose, the more that the state's crazy, this entity's demented character, the truth with regard to what it is engaged in, has been engaged in, is made manifest. It is in no way different and in no way new. I am merely exposing it, and the state is also exposing what is the reality of an entirely twisted government operation. Okay, so it's merely a matter of the more I document and expose, the more that crazy is made manifest, okay? And that is also relevant with regard to every third party, as I have also exposed them engaged in that same exact pattern of conduct, acting vicariously on behalf of the government. And with regard to what I am publishing today on April 4th, that I captured on August 14th, 2019, as I was remaining in my vehicle and as I walked from my vehicle to the library, and as I stood walking from my car to Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library, I stopped at what is the St. George Church at Palm and I believe I stated Palm Street, and I want to say but I'm not sure. It's captured in real time on my podcast, and so I'm stating my location, and this is also verified by the video that I captured where the state is patrolling in relevant position to me, flying in a circle in front of me by helicopter as I remain at this venue on August 14th. And so I have captured what is audio documentation of federal group stalking and monitoring, and I have published an entire playlist on August 14, 2019. And what I want to be clear of is with regard to what you will hear is the police engaging in their ongoing stalking And again, I'm in the city of Ontario, so this is the Ontario Police Department engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, using their sirens. And so with regard to that, I am on my phone right now. Again, today is April 4th, 2021. As I am on my headphones listening to my documentation, as I'm organizing it, preparing to publish it, as I listen to what is that which I have already published in my podcast, I've referenced what is the ongoing stalking by the state directly and vicariously, specifically with regard to the pattern of conduct of stalking with sirens, which is nothing other than audible activity, which the state is creating directly, as the state is the one that's using their emergency vehicles, their police vehicles, to engage in monitoring conduct while they are group stalking, okay? And I have spoken to a plethora of times with regard to the state stalking using its sirens, as I'm, for example, outside at the Ontario Museum where I slept outside, and the state engaging in group stalking 24 hours a day, all right? But specifically, as I'm, for example, as I get up the next morning and I narrate what the state was engaged in overnight. And I have specifically referenced how the state, not only acting by Ontario Police, but AMR Ambulance, and again, this is narrowing it down to the city of Ontario. This is a pattern of conduct that I've also shown, for example, when I go to the city of Los Angeles, documenting what was EMS Ambulance crossing path under the fake sun directly over me at Cesar Chavez and Alameda, and using the sirens crossing path while the state is stalking directly and vicariously. Okay, the same exact pattern of conduct. I want to be clear, this is AMR, this is the Ontario Fire Department, this is the Ontario Police Department, using their sirens as a means of group stalking and monitoring, criminal facilitation of that by the people of the state of California. And I just want to be clear to what is the ongoing criminal conduct. As I remain at Economy Inn, that entity that is engaged in, and necessarily so where it is monitoring, corporate invasion of privacy, knowledge of what I am listening to, even while I have headphones plugged into my phone. And so as I am listening to the sirens, which sound, you'll hear them. As you hear the sirens, and this is exactly what I document, it is amplification of audible activity. The state is not going anywhere where it's sounding sirens. The state is not going anywhere where it is amplifying plane activity. The state is not going anywhere where it is amplifying helicopter activity. It is merely creating that noise in that specific method for purposes of monitoring me with communication devices directly and vicariously through the people of the state of California, all of whom surround in relevant position. So on my podcast on this date, August 14th, I capture what is the ongoing stalking conduct that I am always subject to, which is why I have begun documenting it in such a manner, because this is always occurring, and so this is why I'm documenting it. And so this is the P.O.C, and this is the police, Ontario Police, sounding their sirens, and as you hear it, it is loud. The state sounding its sirens, it is automatically loud. The state is already present, okay? They're not going anywhere, and they were not anywhere but sitting around in a corner, and the state is, begins as you will see on the notes. Again, I'm not only publishing the audio, I am also publishing what is the screen of my notes as I was documenting, literally using Samsung Notes in my phone. I'm taking notes of what I'm doing as the state begins sounding its sirens, which is monitoring, doing so with simultaneity of my turning on another communication device, which was my Boost phone. I have more than one phone. I have a T-Mobile, I have a Boost phone, and I have what is a government phone called an Obama phone, as they reference it in the vernacular. But it is, as I'm turning on my Boost phone, Ontario Police with simultaneity to that, which is monitoring. That's the creation of audible activity while they are stalking, group stalking, remaining in the path in relevant position, and with simultaneity to that, with it, which is that which I have engaged in prolonged documentation of. You can go back to all of my documentation, especially as I have began this podcast and documenting the P.O.C on a daily basis from December 2020 all the way up until, up until as of late March 2021, where I was engaged in what was honing in on the state's pattern of conduct, literally day by day, and I'm capturing what the state is engaging in for purposes of revealing what is monitoring conduct by government that is acting in concert with the people of the state, and also what is necessary federal legislation in order to prosecute that criminal entity that's engaged in that system. And one thing that I am always mentioning, as you will see upon referencing my specifically designed documentation for prosecution, is how the state sirens are sounding with simultaneity to what I am doing, either physically or on my communication device. And this is pursuant to ongoing knowledge surveillance, corporate invasion of privacy, whether I am sleeping outside or whether I am inside of a venue, inside of my car. Okay, sleeping inside of my car, sleeping outside at the museum, wherever I am, even while I am inside of what is a state facilitating venue, kidnapped inside. The state is engaging in the creation of audible activity. And so the state is sounding sirens on August 14th. This is the Ontario Police, and doing so, as I'm noting it on my phone, sounding sirens as my Boost cell phone is turned on. Sirens are heard first of all, they start off sounding very loud, okay? And that is P.O.C. It's amplification of audible activity. The state is literally just targeting audible activity in the method of what is sirens, speaking to what is the presence in close proximity to where I am, sounding those sirens. And understand these sirens are heard getting louder. As though they were en route anywhere. They were not en route anywhere. They were engaging and maintaining presence, aware of what I am doing, sounding the sound of sirens, merely increasing that volume and immediately stopping, also very close to where I am located. You pay attention to not only the timing, which is the significance of what I am noting while the state is engaging in that activity creation, while it is stalking, remaining in my path, which is group stalking. Understand the sound that you hear, it abruptly ends for seconds. This is the state's pattern that it is routinely engaged in. It's doing nothing but monitoring. An AMR ambulance engages in this routinely. The state acting via the Ontario Fire Department engages in this routinely. The Ontario Police Department engages in this routinely, okay? And I want to be clear, as I am listening today, April 4th, 2021, as I am reviewing my documentation that I am preparing to publish on my podcast, the state that is aware of everything that I am doing inside of this hotel room engages in that same pattern of conduct. Moments later, after I listened to the Ontario Police as I documented their criminal conduct on August 14th, is outside of the room sounding sirens again for but a couple seconds in the same way that it is listening to me listen to its criminal conduct, okay? So this is the entity that is engaged in the ongoing criminal act, understand. This is an ongoing criminal act that is ceaseless, that it is currently engaged in today, April 4th, 2021, and that I am reviewing on my phone that I captured on August 14th, 2019. And it is the absence of coincidence that as I am listening to Ontario Police sound their sirens as they are monitoring me while I'm inside of my car, parked at 714 North Vine Avenue in the city of Ontario at Vine and G Street, the same entity that is remaining in relevant position while I am at Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, moments after it's listening to what I am listening to, monitoring what I am doing on this phone, does the exact same conduct. Understand, communicating what is a threat, and also speaking to the fact that it's engaged in ongoing stalking, which I am already aware of. I am documenting what is the absence of coincidence, okay? Moments after I'm listening to that siren that you hear, starts off loudly, it increases in volume and stops, going nowhere, merely creating the sound of a siren, and you hear it, and it immediately stops. I have specifically described that conduct by the state before. This is what it engages in routinely, and doing so pursuant to that behavioral pattern of stalking with activity, doing so as I am engaged in any physical movement, activity, any change thereof, and including activity on a communication device, which is how you monitor. And that is also creating activity to monitor me, and also creating activity such that the people of the state of California, the vicarious aspect of this entity, may also monitor me as they are in their homes in relevant position on Vine Avenue, as they are crossing path in their vehicles, which the state is amplifying in sound inside of that car, while the state is stalking via aircraft, okay? It's nothing but a method of making noise, identifying that entity that is acting directly, okay? And the same thing with regard to today, April 4th, 2020, moments after I'm listening to it on headphones, by the way, while the state is engaged in that ongoing ceaseless criminal system of monitoring, which is the absence of coincidence as well, somehow wanting to let me know that which I already know. I'm going to publish that which the entity is engaged in, which is ceaseless P.O.C, and engaging and mimicking that which it is listening to me with regard to its criminal conduct. So it sounds its sirens for 2 seconds on my documentation capture on August 14, 2019. Moments later, on as I listened to that on April 4, 2021, that entity that remains outside of these doors, monitoring and group stalking with the people of the state of California, does the exact same thing in sounding its sirens for moments while it remains directly in relevant position, not going anywhere, okay? Engaging in the same thing that it is listening to me listen to on my phone. I just want to be clear on that. The same thing with regard to the documentation that I wanted to separate it, but I'm going to just go on ahead and speak to what the state engaged in on what I'm going to publish with regard to October 22nd and October 25th, the state stalking as I am standing inside of the parking lot behind nearest what is the intersection of Euclid and E Street. The parking lot where I have also published a playlist as I remain subject to the P.O.C, as I specifically captured it at a totally different vantage point from where the state remains with its fake sun over at the Ontario Town Square, over the Senior Center, the Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library. On this day, I captured what was a playlist captured on at I believe it is Euclid Avenue and D Street, where I'm sitting at the bus stop. You can reference my YouTube channel where I publish the playlist, and the state's fake sun in a distinct different location, remaining for the duration of the day. On October 25th, I'm capturing what is October 22nd at 8:47 p.m. I am standing in this parking lot at nightfall where the P.O.C. is underway, and this is the same parking lot. I just want to reference the area where I'm at. And the state's stalking by helicopter, while the people of the state are patrolling in their vehicles, creating light activity, and the state is also patrolling by airplanes over this parking lot at nightfall. And moments after I listened to this, which I am documented by audio podcast, and I'm preparing to publish it, the state engaging in mimicking that conduct again. The absence of coincidence, and I'll be specific. Okay, so as I am today, April 4th, 2021, listening to what the state was engaged in as I documented it for purposes of publishing audio documentation on this podcast that was captured on October 22nd, 2019. This is the helicopter activity. And again, I've already established that the state is engaged in this. This is nothing new. I just want to be clear what the state is engaged in, the ongoing criminal conduct. In no way in any kind of contradiction. I mean, merely you're looking at what is the purpose of the crazy that this entity is revealing. The fact that it is engaged in ongoing stalking is already established. This is none other than the futile, for purposes of exposing what it's engaged in, for purposes of exposing what is entirely twisted and demented stalking conduct by a government that is deep into satanic conduct in concert with the people of that state, creating what is helicopter activity as I remain inside of 2301 South Euclid Avenue, moments after it is monitoring, aware of the fact that I am listening to the helicopter activity that it created as I stood in that parking lot at 8:47 p.m. on October 22nd, 2019. I want to be clear, that's the absence of coincidence. So as I'm listening to the state stalking with sirens, moments later, the state sounding sirens with that same brevity, which is the P.O.C., as it's going nowhere. The state is just creating noise in the way in which it has at its disposal, not only creating any sort of random noises like it does inside of this room, as I've shown. As I turn on the shower, the state in creating what is the sound of a squeaky shower. That's not actually the shower squeaking. The state is creating that and using what is knowledge of the fact that I'm running the shower to create that activity. The state creating ongoing noises through the ceiling and the walls as I run water through the sink, which I do not think that it actually logically follows that knocking and booming occurs in the walls as you are running water. But nonetheless, this is what the state does, creating noise targeted to the location where I am at inside of the room at Economy Inn, where it is creating audible activity, targeting it to the very location inside of the room. The state flickering the lights inside of this room, creating light activity, okay? That's the ongoing P.O.C. The state amplifying in the same way sirens and the sound of traffic, which is supposed to be revving engines and loud vehicles heard from the 60 freeway, heard from Euclid Avenue at all times of day, also engaging in stalking with activity. And so this is the concerted conduct of the people of the state who are monitoring me to this activity creation inside of this room. That same entity that is monitoring, engaged in that ongoing knowledge of everything that I am doing, even where I am doing it, they are monitoring as they are engaging in repeating that conduct that I documented in 2019, both on August 14th, as I listened to sirens, the state outdoors sounding its sirens. As I listened to helicopter activity, the state outdoors amplifying helicopter activity, moments after I am listening to it on headphones, by the way. And so this is ongoing, intimate knowledge of everything that I am doing, as I have already established, which is the public entity's pattern of conduct. This is not only criminal, it is demonic, and that is the P.O.C. And so I just want to be clear on the significance of what I am documenting. You all not only have this audible documentation, which I'm publishing on the podcast, I am also publishing for purposes of what I'm noting in my phone as I'm sitting in my car, or as I am walking around, or as I'm sitting inside of any venue, such as Starbucks, where I was monitored at 706 West Holt Boulevard, okay? And I'm merely just keeping notes so you can see visually what I'm doing on my phone as I'm capturing audio of the state's P.O.C. And I am just also, this is in concert with, or in conjunction with, this complements that which I have already published on YouTube and videos, that which I have already published on my Google Share Drive and pictures. And again, everything is tethered together. This is that which I communicated with the state actors that are the public defenders engaged in a fictitious prosecution, which was engaged in at the state facilitating venue while I was kidnapped. Again, those public defenders engaged in kidnapping, in no way engaged in representing my criminal my interests, and where the state is engaged in this criminal perpetuation of a literal fictitious case for purposes of concealing its engagement and monitoring me as I was documenting it. And so this is that which I also communicated to the public defenders. The fact that I have audio that I captured of the state stalking, the fact that I have pictures everywhere that I'm going where the state is stalking, and all of the manners in which it is doing so, and the fact that I had already instituted civil suits against the state of California, directly against the state, the people of the state, and as I instituted the state against Bill and Wags. Understand, that is the vicarious aspect of that entity, which I instituted a civil case against for conversion, as they are engaged in the pattern of conduct with Ontario police, all right, that are monitoring and engaged in criminal obstruction of justice. Those public defenders, namely Laura Alvarez and Vanessa Rodriguez, this is all published already on my YouTube page, on my YouTube channel, excuse me, and this is that which I have spoken to on my website, thepatternofconduct.wordpress.com. This is all tethered to that. This is all occurring before and after my vehicle is stolen, before and after I began my lawsuit against the state of California, which the state of California evaded service of process, criminal obstruction of justice. Okay, so this is all relevant. This is all speaking to what is long-term documentation before I went online and published video and pictures, before I made this audio publicly available on a podcast, okay? And so this is a history of documentation, which is speaking to the history of the criminal conduct that the state is currently engaged in, all right? There is no break in the state's P.O.C. There is no break in that criminal system. Every third party engaged in what is an ongoing criminal act to date, okay? And again, this also works and with regard to that which I have been subject to at every place that I have been, including where I lived and where I worked, which I will also publish with regard to where I was being monitored. And I can literally publish what is an old resume showing everywhere that I worked, everywhere I went to school, everywhere I volunteered, for example, where they were monitoring me, okay? And it's just a matter of the more that I became aware of it, the more that the crazy made itself obvious and visible such that I could capture it on picture and video, okay? The state was not engaging in this manner of directed light activity as I've captured on the sidewalk and on the buildings and all of that. This is that which was not readily apparent. At least I did not notice it, okay? But the state has been engaged in for a long time and remaining directly over my head everywhere that I go, every city and county where I am at, with what is not the sun. All right. And in retrospect, as I recall that, this is that which has been occurring, and it was what I was not aware of. And you're not going to pay attention to that. You're going to school. You're going to your job. You're not really thinking of anything like a fake sun, okay? You're not honing in on that. That's not even a concept that you can really fathom, but it is that which is an inevitable conclusion when you are paying attention to the documentation, what the state is engaged in with its light source. And this is the tying together of all of that, which I have been exposed to for a prolonged period. And this includes when I was unaware of it, where I was being monitored, okay? And the fact that the state is engaged in this conduct, which is blatant exposure of that criminal system, is speaking to what I have been engaged in while it was doing so unbeknownst to me, while I was unaware of it, okay? And so it is currently 10:23 p.m. on April 4th, 2021, and this which I captured in 2019 is speaking to that which I have been exposed to for years, all right, and that which is occurring at a ceaseless basis, and this is none other than my documentation of becoming aware of it and systematically documenting and then going through the process of publishing it for purposes of what is establishing what is necessary federal law and speaking to addressing that which is in no way, like I said, it's not impervious to being prosecuted, regardless of the fact that it is entirely satanic. All right. This is entirely that which is of the demonic. You're looking at what is demonic activity, what is a satanic influence over a government and over a mass of people. Okay. Understand that. what I've shown with the light activity. I've shown what are light activity that is monitoring conduct, but understand that this treatment, this behavior with light is that which is inherently satanic. This is also that which, based on what I have been exposed to at organizations such as Sunrise Church, such as the Lighthouse Church of the Nazarene in Orange County, at the 1885 Anaheim Avenue, okay, at the organizations of that religious nature, understand where they were monitoring. I've been there at Free Chapel in Orange County. These are venues where it was demonic activity underway, and this is literally a home. This is where demonic activity finds its resting place. It is comfortable in this venue, which is a quote unquote religious venue, where I witnessed what is demonic activity, but unaware of the fact that I was actually being monitored. And in addition to that, it's demonic activity conducting itself outwardly as though it's Christianity, as though it's religion, okay? And it's not. And that darkness is that which was underway in operation ceaselessly inside of such organizations. And I want to be clear, everywhere that I am documenting or I am publishing, it's a place where where P.O.C. was underway. It did not pause, it did not stop, and it is not in any way respective of the specific names that are going to be associated with those venues. Any influential person or identity, understand that that is the state system that is ceaselessly underway. It is satanic, and it is also criminal. This is exposure of more than one aspect of what the government is engaged in. It is speaking to that which is perhaps an unveiling of what exactly demonic activity is. It is not what you see on Nick at Night, okay? And it is also that which is occurring in the natural before your very eyes, regardless of whether you understand what you are looking at. And so this is that which I have very close familiarity with, because I was a part of what is Sunrise Church, an organization systematically monitoring and doing so and revealing that demonic nature, which is Sunrise Church. It is not the genuine church. They were monitoring, and they are also, and I also witnessed what is blatant demonic conduct. As I've shown, for example, the foreign objects appearing in the light activity, which is the state's directed light. I just published this in video while I remain inside of 2301 South Euclid Avenue. My hand engaging in constant motion, showing what is the trajectory of directed light as it is appearing not directly above my hand, which would be the logical position where the state is aiming light. Understand, it's not even there, but understand even that upward position where my shadow should be directly above where my hand is, but behind this window, that is directed light. Understand, sunlight is not both coming from what is the sun over the parking lot, and then also aiming upward from below the building, such that you are creating shadows on the surface above. Okay, so this is necessarily light that is being aimed upward. This is not from the sun. This is also not the sun that is over the venue. I want to be clear. My hand is also, I'm using it as a means of showing what the state is engaged in on a constant basis as group stalkers maintain presence at this venue, in the parking lot, walking by, group stalking, sitting outside their rooms, walking past, sitting in their cars, as the state is creating ongoing impact. The state is creating amplified audible activity as group stalkers are driving by on the freeway and on the streets. This is all P.O.C. And the light activity is what I'm giving an example of. This is what the state is doing on a constant basis, which is entirely demonic in and of itself. But my shadow, I'm showing what is the trajectory of that light. Not only is sunlight not shooting upwards from the ground up, all right, creating what is shadows as I'm able to do so moving my hand around. You'll see my hand in constant motion. You'll see what is totally distinct from that ongoing movement of my hand. I do not move my hand. I continue moving it, showing what is light activity creation on the ceiling in that same location. And what is directly distinct from that is above from where my hand is in motion, the shadow, which is light activity, the moving shadow, the light activity that I am creating. This is what is demonic. You can see what is an entirely separate creation of light activity, not caused by movement of my hand. My hand continues in that same motion back and forth, and what you see is something that becomes into view above from where the light activity that I'm creating in the state's directed light onto the ceiling as it is aiming light upward inside of this window at 2301 South Euclid, which is the hotel room that I remain in. This is what appears as to be, to me, it it looks like hooks, the shapes of two hooks together. They slowly move up. All right, and this is above where my movement of my hand, the light activity on the ceiling. Totally separate from that, you'll see above that, and this is video that I've published on YouTube under the playlist of what is the hallmark directed light. This is published already. And it's also published on my website, thepatternofconduct.wordpress.com. And this shadowy object appearing in the shape of what is a hook moves slowly upward, all right? And then it slowly moves back down. And as you'll see in what I believe appears as a hook, which again, while I'm continually moving my hand back and forth, it's not me creating this light activity. You'll also see what is flashing light, which I have no way whatsoever. You're looking at my hand. I'm showing you what I'm doing. I'm holding my phone in my left hand, and I'm moving my right hand in the window. This is not me creating any kind of flashing light that's appearing in what is the circumference, the center of what looks like to me to be two hooks. That is demonic, okay? I want to be clear, and if you pay attention to the video, I specifically referenced the time frame at 1 minute and 32 seconds to 1 minute and 39 seconds. You'll see this object move up, and then it moves down out of sight, which is the creation of light activity, shadow, that's in the creating light activity by shadow on the ceiling, which the state is continuously engaged in. I merely created this video to demonstrate how the state is doing so. So you can break down logically how the state is creating light activity on the ceiling by aiming light upward. Okay, the fact that you're engaged in aiming light in this unnatural manner, pursuant to what is occurring everywhere that I'm going, light unnaturally occurring, not from a sun, but where the state is also engaged in what is dragging what is supposed to be a sun, remaining directly over me for the duration of the day, irrespective of the address, the state, or not the state, but the county or the city. This is the pattern of conduct, right? This is monitoring, okay? But what I also want to speak to is that which is also demonic. That is that which I captured in that video, and I want to be clear, I move the video camera upwards so you can see it as it moves out of sight. That's entirely demonic. That is speaking to what the government is engaged in. That is the revealing of what is satanic, which is pursuant to criminal conduct, yes, but this is satanic. It's not your ordinary criminal conduct, okay? This is what characterizes what the government is engaged in. The government that is flying and stalking in helicopters and airplanes and targeting an American citizen, understand it is not a random. While I do not owe, and no target individual owes any explanation, let me be clear. I am not in any way affiliated with that which is of the demonic, of that which is satanic. I am pointing it out. If I was of that entity, that satanic entity, I would not be exposing it, okay? I am clearly pointing it out, and this is a reason for the fact that I am being targeted by this satanic force that is operating over the government, that is acting in concert with the people of the state. And understand, engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring is the outward demonstration of that satanic influence over that person that is within the group. The people of the state of California vicariously acting in concert with the government that is monitoring via communication devices, and the relevant context is that this is no ordinary criminal conduct. It is satanic activity. Okay, and I want to be clear. I have shown it through the behavior of the light. I've shown it in another example is through the light activity that you're looking at on a ceiling. Again, this is that which is not normally occurring. This is the P.O.C. But you're also looking at what the state is doing while it's engaged in the P.O.C. That's entirely demonic. Okay, this hook figure that's moving slowly upward and downward, and it is clearly not my hand. I don't have any ability to do that, create that flashing light. This is the same P.O.C. that I am speaking to at all times. The state engaging in creating that light activity as I am documenting what is directed light into the window at this venue, where the state is, as I'm in that same venue, opening up the door, and the state is stalking by aircraft, which as I open up the door so that you can clearly hear it, while the entity that is aware of the fact that I am at the window, aiming my hand inside of the window to see what is shadows made on the ceiling, okay? And so this is P.O.C. This is exposing what is entirely satanic. This is entirely abnormal, and understand the significance of everything that I am speaking to. And so this is literally the ability to prosecute that which is rooted in of the demonic in a court of law. Okay, so the fact that it is that which is satanic, I mean, that's a part That's entirely distinct from that which you are focused on in a court of law. Okay, separation of church and state, true. I want to be clear, though, that the context is not irrelevant. This is speaking to what is the invisible influence over the government, over the people of the state that are monitoring. Where a government is monitoring, understand the pattern of conduct is such that where the government is monitoring, it is doing so vicariously through the people of that state. Now, for purposes of what I've shown, you can look at it on a grander scale, on a macro level. I have isolated P.O.C. to the state of California, okay? On a macro level, this is what a government is engaged in for purposes of monitoring American citizens, regardless of what your zip code is. This is how a government does it, and it is satanic, okay? It is satanic in its root. This is perhaps speaking to the motivation for targeting specific individuals. It is criminal, but I want to be clear, it is satanic. And this is that which I am familiarized with. I am familiar with operating amongst and being surrounded by what are psychopaths, engaging in the outward guise of normalcy, and it is the absence of normal, okay? So these sex offending psychopaths who are entirely engaged in demonic group conduct while I'm at Sunrise Church, okay? And that conduct which I have documented, engaged in sexually, physically violating my person, in addition to that which is harassment, which I specifically documented. And while I am a part of this organization, unaware of the fact that it is actually demonic activity. Understand, they're not saying hail Satan, hail Satan. They are outwardly conducting themselves as though it is a Christian organization, as though they are praising the name of Jesus, and they are not. You do not know them by what they are saying with their mouths, by what they are outwardly conducting themselves, or how they associate or identify themselves. You know them by their deeds, by what they are doing, and they are monitoring, okay? And this is that which I was subject to at Sunrise Church. The pattern of conduct, as I am revealing it now, underway while I was unaware of it at being a part of this organization at Sunrise Church, okay? And this is also the venue at Sunrise Church where outright demonic activity, which I witnessed, and which is also what led up to my no longer being associated with that organization, as it blatantly exposed itself as not being governed by the Bible, as it claims to be. It is not the genuine church. And so the criminal conduct that it is engaged in is the genuine representation of that organization. And understand, with Sunrise Church is where I went to what is the church in Lake Forest, where I was being monitored at that venue. And it does not matter. You are looking at what are elements. You are looking at what is the elements that the entity that is acting vicariously through the people. So you're getting past any influential name that is associated with that venue. They're monitoring. And that is the P.O.C. period. And that is exposing what is criminal conduct, and it is exposing what is satanic conduct. And this is the significance of everything that I'm documenting. And I want to go ahead and speak to this is that which I am focused on. August 14, 2019. I am capturing the state engaging in this P.O.C. of monitoring me. And it is that which I am becoming aware of. Well, not becoming aware of. I was already aware of it as of 2018, when I promptly, as soon as I could, I withdrew from the workforce, being subject to harassment and being threatened by the very absurdly, very peculiar conduct of those who I worked with, both practicing law and in the property management industry. And this was very much a threat. And as I've also published on YouTube, they're monitoring in the workspace and Country Village Apartments. This is property management, okay? They're monitoring there. They're monitoring as I am aware of it, and as I am publishing now outwardly what are the elements of monitoring, what are the hallmarks that are present. Understand, they were monitoring then when I was unaware of it. And literally, I will be speaking to what is the criminal monitoring that I was subject to at every fake church, because they are not real churches. They are organizations that are nothing other than engaged in the business of religion. And they are not the genuine church. And they were monitoring me while I was there, and I was unaware of the fact. And it is satanic as well, okay? And this is also that which I was subject to at every business where I was employed. and I was subject to systematic monitoring, the same exact elements underway, the same hallmarks. I was just unaware of the fact that I was being monitored. That's the only difference. There's before I was aware of it, and now as I am aware of it, and the elements don't change. Okay, this is a matter of exposing what a government is engaged in, and what is supposed to be that which is a concealed system. And this is why a government engages in that egregious criminal conduct of kidnapping, of engaging in malicious prosecutions where you do not have any probable cause to ever arrest or prosecute in any way because you're monitoring. And that is a criminal act of obstruction of justice. The same with a fictitious prosecution, literally making up a criminal case where you are engaged in monitoring and seeking to conceal the fact that you are monitoring an American citizen. This is the totality. This is the revealing of that entire system, that criminal system in operation. And it is merely, the only difference is that before I was unaware, and the more that I became aware, the more that I documented, the more that the crazy of that entity is revealed, okay? And it is absolutely crazy conduct to engage in stalking with noise, creating a light, shadowy act, shadows on a ceiling. This is that which is occurring while you're stalking in planes and helicopters. You're in police vehicles and uniforms representing the government and an ambulance and fire trucks, and you're stalking, and you're doing so with the people who are all maintaining presence entirely focused on you, while what is supposed to be ordinary conduct in society, it is entirely engaged in monitoring an American citizen. This is group conduct, which is entirely demented. All right, which is supposed to be that which is a secret. It is no longer a secret. And the more that you are aware and documenting it, as I've shown, the more that that psychotic, demented character is made manifest for all to see. Okay. So this is the significance of that, and this is relevant because this is going to preface everything that I'm going to document, and so this will be that which is also what I've already published in video on YouTube, on what I've already published on the third-party venues as well, Facebook, TikTok, Tumblr. Understand, these are third-party venues engaging in any way that they can criminal obstruction of justice on the venue of the internet, where they are facilitating criminal obstruction of justice via criminal defamation. Okay, engaging in in any way that they can, seeking to obstruct and or conceal what is my published documentation of the public entity's criminal system on their venue, because that's all that it is. Facebook is nothing but a venue engaged in the state's pattern of conduct. Okay, the same with TikTok. Nothing but a venue on what is the venue of the internet. This is relevant for existing federal law, 18 U.S.C. section 2261A, specifically subsection 2. But I argue also under subsection 1. And it is also for purposes of systematic infliction of inhumane suffering, that is S.I.I.S. federal legislation to be enforced against a public entity acting directly and vicariously through the people of the state. And the people of the state is not does not have a singular definition. So it is not merely, for example, Tracy Banks, that individual that is within that group of the people of the state of California. It is speaking to any method whereby that entity is acting vicariously, where you are acting in pursuant to that pattern of conduct, which is designed to not only monitor with communication devices, it is also designed to conceal the fact that it is monitoring with communication devices as the government in concert with the people. And so that is the significance of Facebook's criminal conduct as it's been documented, TikTok, Tumblr, and the venues as I remain subject to that P.O.C. But nonetheless, I have published those on those venues as well, but they are third parties, and the published documentation and the conduct of those venues on the venue of the internet is also for purposes of documenting them as well, and documenting the people of the state of California as they are speaking on behalf of the government while they are monitoring and engaged in criminal defamation, for example, on that venue of the internet. And so this is the comprehensive exposure of what is an ongoing criminal act by the government. The government acts vicariously. The government is speaking through the people. The government is present on behalf of the people. The government is obstructing the ability to expose and prosecute itself through the people who are fully engaged in that concerted criminal system. Okay, and so I just want to be clear. This is prefacing that, and this is the documentation dating back to 2019, 2018, which I will go ahead and publish. And it's an ongoing criminal act. And this is why you have what is the psychopath that is monitoring to date, April 4th, 2021, and engaging in what is, I say, the chorus of the defeated. Okay, this is literally a satanic entity that is monitoring via a government that is acting via the people. Okay, if you wrap your head around that. Okay, this is the forest. If you could look at the forest, understand you're talking about entities. You want to speak about entities? This is a satanic entity operating over the government, which is an entity. Okay, itself in the natural, operating over the people vicariously, okay, for purposes of achieving its criminal system of monitoring on a systematic basis, where you remain in a fishbowl everywhere that you go, okay? You remain surrounded by light, you remain surrounded by activity, you remain surrounded by entity, as that entity maintains presence in your path. All three elements maintained at all times. And so this is P.O.C, and this is specifically August 14, 2019. This is going with documentation published on YouTube and on the third-party venues of what is Facebook, of what is Tumblr, TikTok. My podcast on Anchor has the totality of all of my podcasts, which I am going to fully publish and everything that I have documented back to date, to date. And I will continue to also speak to what is the totality of that picture, where places where I remain, organizations, places of employment, where I was being systematically monitored and engaging in all of those criminal acts. Understand, where you're monitoring, you're engaged in corporate invasion of privacy, you're engaged in what is sexually violent conduct, you are engaged in monitoring in private spaces as they are engaged in that ongoing criminal system at all times and at all places. This is relevant to every single last venue, because that's what it is, where the public entity is monitoring. You're doing nothing other than documenting federal group stalking and monitoring at each venue, regardless of that zip code, regardless of the specific identity of that actor. They represent the government, whether the government is acting directly or vicariously. And that is the P.O.C. St. George Church at Palm and E Street. And as the planes fly over, they come near, they're watching what I'm doing, especially on this phone. That sound came on just as I pointed my phone in this direction. They're watching and listening. Not a coincidence. This is at Palm and E Street as I stand on the corner in front of St. George Church. Airplane flying right over. It's August 14th, 2019. These are the same planes that circle Vine and G Street, that follow me down Euclid Avenue just the other day, that follow me down Holt. They work with these vehicles that sit idle nearby, that drive by, that walk by, because they're using technology. And so by way of their phones, the chief means these planes fly by above everywhere that I go, and they're able to use the people of California who drive by at a distance, come by really close, and using their cell phones. So it is by means of technology. This person doesn't have to actually get out of their car. And as I speak about it, another airplane flies over. They're flying over Frontier Communications right over here at D Street, flying right past this, the Episcopal Parish Church of St. George in this residential area. It's still circling the same block that I'm at. I am still over here at Palm and E, in between D, same area. And this is the fourth plane that has made itself audible. What they do is they make a lot of noise in the background in order to muffle the sound of the airplanes, so as to allegedly or try to stop me from being able to capture it, because as I said, factually speaking, I have been able to capture how airplanes follow me everywhere that I go, whether on foot or by automobile. And they are using technology, so they use the people, they use their cell phones, they can stand a corner away, like this person here, this family parked within my vicinity parallel to my direction at the other end of the block. And like I said, where they went to, this is an abandoned building that's no longer in use. So they parked over here for no apparent reason. They parked and they walked straight ahead, maybe the school. In other words, there was no need for them to park right here, other than my location over there, at the same time that the airplane was swarming the church that I was standing in front of at E and Palm. As I walked to the other end of the street, There are gentlemen that were standing on the opposite street, specifically on D Street, D as in dog. Again, they can stand at a distance. They're using their cell phones. They're at a distance. They are using technology to do this. They are working with the planes. And again, that is a highly peculiar fact, a reality that I've been able to capture everywhere that I go. The most extravagant scenes that they have demonstrated on tape, on this mechanism specifically, Holt, right here in front of this Catholic church, and over my vehicle on Vine and G Street in Ontario, walking down Euclid Avenue. They fly back and forth across Euclid at a very close proximity to the ground in different kinds of aircraft. Some look like commercial type, others are helicopters. So they have an array of different aircraft types, but they are focusing on my location because they go in the direction that I go. The common fact is the contract stalking aspect, and that is, again, to reiterate, that is the people of California. This family right here in the Tahoe, parking in close proximity to me while the planes fly over, that is the operation in a nutshell. But they don't have to park, again. They don't have to stay stationary. Just like this older gentleman here, they can just walk by. They can drive by like this family is right here. They can stand across the street like those two gentlemen from Frontier do. They can keep rolling by. That's, in essence, what this contract stalking operation is. It's through the convenience of technology. That's why police knew immediately when I turned on my cell phone, and their sirens immediately went off. They blared and approached the intersection where I was at, Vine and G Street, because they are constantly monitoring, they are constantly listening and constantly watching. The people that are cooperating with them are these folks all around, people that I do not know, but I don't need to know them personally in order for them to accomplish what they're doing through the means of technology. They have weaponized it in order to keep me on radar 24 hours a day.